I want to run first the vote share projections for Telangana, which is really the most authentic indication of whose graph is going up and whose graph is coming down. Remember, seat conversions can be argued in different ways, but vote share is what you pick up by speaking to voters on the ground. It really gives you a sense of who's up, who's down. So here it is on your screen right now. The BRS picked up 47% of the vote in the 2018 assembly elections. From there, 5 years down, C voters projecting at the moment that the BRS could be at 38. That is a very major loss of 9% vote share for K. Chandrashekar Rao's party, the BRS. That is a very big headline point coming out right at the top of this broadcast. The Bharatiya Janata Party was at 7%. They did well in the Hyderabad municipal elections. They're hoping that this can be their second big inroad in the south after Karnataka. Their graph is going up, more than doubling. But when your base is only 7 and you go to 16, you aren't converting votes into seats just yet. But for what it's worth, the BJP vote share up 9%. So the gain in the BJP equaling the amount of loss for the BRS. But that's not the real story. The big story there is that the Congress's vote share, according to this projection by C voter, and there'll be many in the tracking rounds in the weeks to come, C voters projecting that the Congress's vote share will jump from 28 to 39. That's an 11% gain for the Congress, according to the projection done by C voters. So with that first number, let me take you through first Rajdeep Sardesai. Rajdeep, an 11% gain for the Congress and 9% fall for the BRS. You know, even when the Congress people are looking at these numbers and saying, have we mixed it up? Are these for real? Or do you really think that that's how this election is shaping in post-Karnataka? There's been a real turnaround in the fortune of the Congress party in the state.
You know, Rahul, if your namesake Rahul Gandhi is watching this show, he'll be bursting with excitement. I mean, you've given him the kind of numbers that I think even the most optimistic Congress supporters at the moment are not giving their party. It clearly shows a certain momentum in favor of the Congress. It suggests what we've been picking up from the ground post-Karnataka, that the Congress is on the upswing, the BJP is struggling at a poor number 3 at the moment, and the BRS is also losing ground. That's what we are hearing from various if you have your ear to the ground. However, the same people still tell us don't rule out K. Chandrashekar Rao and the BRS. They still have a strong organization on the ground. They have announced their candidates early and they've got a head start in that sense. They've got their welfare schemes in place. Why should there be such a huge swing away, which you're projecting of 11%? But if these numbers are right, because you've been suggesting this over your tracker over the last 2 months, it would suggest that the Congress's old coalition, Rahul, is returning to it. The Dalits, the Muslims, a section of the OBCs are coming back to the Congress party, and the decline of the BJP's fortunes, as per your survey, would benefit in that sense the Congress. So I think if the BJP doesn't cross a certain hump, if the entire anti-incumbency against the KCR government goes to the Congress is in with a chance. But I would be a little hesitant to predict Telangana just yet. We've seen in the past also there have been predictions of close fights, and KCR has pulled through in Telangana. He is still someone who can never be ruled out. He's a very clever politician, and therefore my sense is you're heading for a close fight in Telangana. And while these numbers will give Congress reason to smile, I think there's still a long way to go before they can claim they will capture Hyderabad. Just one last point. The fact is, this interestingly has often been a Congress-ruled state. In the sense, if you look at the old Andhra, the Congress would always do well in Telangana, especially in southern Telangana. So you would expect the Congress to have held its own after having given statehood. That didn't happen. KCR got that vote. Now you just wonder whether Mallikarjun Kharge, as a Dalit president of the Congress, the success they've had in neighboring Karnataka, Muslims slowly returning back to the Congress fold, is all of this now converting Telangana back to the state where, interestingly enough, Indira Gandhi, when she wanted to make a comeback, chose Chikmagalur in Karnataka once and Medak in Andhra Pradesh, in the old Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
So that will give the Congress some confidence, but your numbers will have them whooping with joy.
I was speaking to a Congress strategist a few days ago before these poll numbers came out, and while he did speak of a turnaround in the Congress's fortunes, he still felt that KCR and the BRS was ahead, and he hoped that in the weeks to come that would change. But at that time, the Congress's own internal reading was that the BRS is still in front and we're trying to catch up. T.S. Sudhir, Yashwant Deshmukh and his team at Sea Water predicts that while this is a very tight fight, they're actually giving 1% more votes to the Congress than they are to the BRS. You're in Hyderabad. You speak to a lot of people across the state. How does this compare and contrast with what you're picking up anecdotally?
Well, I would still say the BRS has its nose ahead right now in the race, but we are still about 6 weeks away from date of polling. A lot could actually change in the next 6 weeks. But having said that, one would say that the Congress is actually having the momentum right now. The BRS advantage is that it announced its candidates in the month of August. In fact, most of them have finished one round of campaigning. That's a huge head start over the other two parties, where the Congress has announced the names of their candidates, only half of them earlier this week, and the BJP has not even announced its list. So in that sense, the BRS has had a huge head start. The problem for the BRS is that, one, the anti-incumbency against the sitting MLAs. K. Chandrashekar Rao actually has taken a huge risk by actually renominating over 90 of them out of the 100 odd that he had in the 2018 assembly. So in that sense, the anti-incumbency against the MLAs could be a major negative as far as the BRS is concerned. And KCR would hope that the voters actually vote in his name for his face rather than go for the MLAs. That's factor number one. The other thing which could possibly go against the BRS is that after 10 years in power, there is a certain sense of fatigue which has set in. Would that be a major factor? In fact, one of the slogans going around in rural Telangana is that, okay, we have given them a chance for 10 years. Why not give the other party a chance now? Will that sentiment catch up? And the third, of course, KCR would hope that the welfare schemes would fetch in rich dividends as far as the BRS is concerned. But the Congress is trying to match up with the 6 guarantees. So if the 6 guarantees actually gains traction over the next 6 weeks, that would be a big headache as far as the BRS is concerned. So BRS right now, I wouldn't say in an exactly very comfortable kind of position. And the last one factor is that since he has renominated a majority of these MLAs, the second rung and the third rung leadership of the BRS feeling a little aggrieved, because they were obviously, many of them are corporators, councillors, Zilla Parishad members, Mandal Parishad members. Many of them would have hoped for an MLA ticket so that they could get promoted up the political ladder. Now they would have to postpone their those prospects for the next 5 years, and that is not something which many of the second rung and the third rung leaders in the BRS are really liking.
Krishang Mane, this is not good news from the BRS's perspective. You knew that there is some anti-incumbency, but because of welfarism, because of development, you were hoping to still sail through, keep your opponents behind. This poll, for the first time, is suggesting not just is it a dead heat, they could also potentially have the Congress a little ahead of you. What's your strategy to try and turn this around?
Well, Rahul, I wish I could keep the Congress happy at least till the show ended, but we cannot afford to do that. You know why? I have this 2 copies with me. One is a tweet from the official Twitter handle of the Telangana Congress, and one is the Sea Voters survey report. Both of these are the Sea Voter survey reports of November 10, 2018, when Telangana Assembly was ahead of polls in the 2018. And you know what, Rahul? Interestingly, the same Sea Voter survey predicted 64 seats to the Mahakutami of TDP and Congress and 42 for the then TRS, today BRS. You know, Sea Voter survey is coming up with the same stats or the figures wouldn't make us bother at all, because in 2018, the same KCR gave a headstrong ahead with a victory. And in fact, for many, the cephalogists or poll surveys, not to believe that we got 88 number of seats instead of their 64, which they've given to the Mahakutami. So I don't think even now we believe in these surveys, because one thing,
Okay,
See,
let me just point out to our viewers that Yashwant Deshmukh unfortunately is not with us today. That's because there's been a bereavement in his close family circle, so he's not there today. But these are the numbers for what it is. He's got a good track record, and obviously if you've been in business for long enough, there'll be some poll which is an outlier and which you get wrong. But the fact also is, even if I leave Krishank Mane, the seat share conversion, which I haven't come to aside for a moment, the vote share, because it's a representative scientific sample, tells you, A, it's a dead heat. Forget whether the Congress is in front of us. We can quibble about that later. It's a tight election. B, the data suggests that there is anti-incumbency against your government and in particular against your MLAs. That much is pretty uncontestable, even if you argue about the seat share conversion.
Rahul, now, see, I don't sit in Delhi and judge. I'm there here on the ground because the Congress has still not feeded all its candidates yet. The Gandhi Bhavan currently is locked down because there are protests outside the Gandhi Bhavan that their seats are being sold to outsiders. There are protests against their own PCC president. At AICC War Room, there are protests. We have announced our candidates. The B forms have been distributed. The candidates are in campaign. Our front runners, our working president, Mr. KTR, Minister Harish Rao, have already, at an average of a day, 3 constituencies per day have covered in election campaign. Our main star campaigner, our USP, our Chief Minister KCR, also per day 3 constituencies. We've already covered our first schedule of campaign. Our manifesto is announced, and we have the confidence that people of Telangana will bless us because the agenda is absolutely development. It's not the 5 hours of current in Karnataka. If Congress comes here and speaks about Karnataka, everyone knows what is the issue there with the electricity in Karnataka. So here, 24 hours of power, that will be the game changer. Water, we have addressed the issue of water. That will be the USP. Welfare state, pensions. When it was Congress, it was 200 rupees.
Okay.
Today we have delivered. So we are taking out this into the people and we are confident that people of Telangana will bless KCR strongly again.